let's add a model to this, which is super simple, really fast. But it's a model of development for the human animal, if you will, right? And it goes dependent, and I will add codependent as a halfway step there, independent, okay, and then interdependent. Okay, so quick definition of these, right? Somebody who's dependent is a baby, right? Like a baby's a great example of somebody who's fully dependent. Maybe somebody maybe they're older, but they're developmentally challenged or mentally challenged, or something's going on that way, and they're truly dependent, right? They can't fend for themselves in whatever way they need. They have dependencies, right, to survive. What's healthy, if it's fully healthy and people are capable of it, we want to help that person become independent over time. And as you mentioned, as somebody's growing up, there may be areas where they're really great at being independent, and then there's places where it's not safe for them yet to be fully on their own, et cetera. And so we might call that partially dependent. Some people might call that codependent. Again, that's not the dysfunction of codependency, but that's a place where you're not fully dependent, but you're not independent yet, right? Independent is actually the final goal, right? We're not trying to become individually interdependent people. That's not what that looks like. We want to be independent, right? And this is, again, something that other cultures, they think differently about selfishness. They don't put themselves in the center of the story. There's some Asian cultures who, if you ask them about a story, they're talking about the context. And I think that's really interesting. And again, that's probably for another talk. But where we are here, what's healthy psychologically that we know is that we don't want to remain codependent. We don't want to remain in ways where we're dysfunctional and we're not fully independent. Most importantly, emotionally and mentally, right? And physically. We want to be physically independent. We want to be mentally independent. We want to be emotionally independent. When you do that, and two people that are truly independent, okay, and have the capability for that, they can have an interdependent relationship, right? And that looks really healthy because they actually bring their honest, true selves. They bring the health of all their abilities. They bring all that stuff. And that's the healthiest relating that we know of, is an interdependent relationship that's going on there. Now, again, you may choose to share tasks, right? One might be better at something than the other, so they decide to do it more. That's fine. But emotionally, they're not enmeshed and codependent. But what we're finding in our culture, as advertised and other things, is we tend to default not even to independence, right? We end up codependent, right? Which is less than that individuated state of independence. We end up enmeshed emotionally, mentally, overwhelmed, not knowing how to fully express ourselves, not fully proud of ourselves to be okay with who we are, having deficiencies that we don't even see about ourselves, whether that be in finances or how we feed ourselves or how we're taking care of ourselves in all these different ways. And where this comes up as a survival mechanism is often out of abuse and addiction and all those things. It is a response to when other people aren't fully functional or independent, and we end up over-functioning for them. And we end up losing ourselves in that, right? So you'll get a codependent with a narcissist quite often. You'll get a codependent with an addictive person. A codependent can be an addictive person, et cetera, okay? So the short takeaway there is that the big time goal here that we're going for is how can we become independent? And what does that look like?
Thanks for tuning into the Rob Scott Show. My name's Sarah, and I'm here with Rob Scott. He's a master level coach. And we're here to we got to start this again. Cut.